This stone, situated at Freedom Park on the Niagara Parkway, just minutes from the Peace Bridge, depicts the journey of freedom seeker Reverend Josiah Henson.
We use this day as a time for conversation, for discussion, for collaboration, and digging up, history that has found its way hidden from society and our consciousness.
Josiah Henson was born on June 15, 1789, in Charles County, Maryland. He spent 41 years of his life as a slave. Seeking a better life, he took his wife and 4 children and escaped from a location known as Owensboro, Kentucky. Henson and his family arrived in Canada on October 28, 1830. Josiah's great-great-great-grandchild was at Freedom Park to celebrate the commemorative crossing.
I think it's really special to have him here. It's imperial, right? We've actually had other members of his family join us, and it was the #1 goal for us is to make sure that they were fully a part of this experience, because very rarely do you get a chance to connect the dots and stand in the same presence of descendants of our heroes, and so I consider his presence mandatory. To take part in this, and the work that he does is not just his own ancestors, but the culture is important. This work that I stand shoulder to shoulder with, and helping elevate the awareness and the consciousness of our community and our ancestors' contributions.
On the way to freedom, the Henson family traveled through the night and slept during the day. They crossed into Indiana and through Cincinnati. Continuing on their journey, they crossed a lake in Ohio, where a ship's captain agreed to transport the family to Buffalo, New York. From there, they crossed the river to Canada.
As a network to freedom, you have to have those who are willing to sacrifice to create the inroads of that network, to establish the different stations and to find those allies who are willing to assist. So Josiah Henson would be considered a forerunner of the Underground Railroad, because when he made his journey in 1830, Araminta Ross, who we know today as Harriet Tubman, was still a young girl on a plantation in Maryland. So when he made his journey with his family, he was one of the first people who were able to establish that network to freedom. And he also was indebted because many people sacrificed their lives in order for him to have access to that freedom. And he would return back into the United States many times to help many others.
Just like Josiah's journey, the East Side Bike Club crossed the Niagara River into Fort Erie. After today's reflection of Henson's sacrifice, the bikers will head back to Western New York.
The obstacle with any law is that law or legislation does not legislate people's attitudes. It does not legislate economies. It does not legislate communities. So even though you may have a law in the books, a law is only as strong as the people who are willing to enforce it. So even though, for example, in New York State, slavery started to be gradually abolished in 1827, it didn't mean that as soon as you set foot in the state of New York that that was freedom. You have counties within the state of New York, and many times the identity of these counties did not align with the legislation of the state government. So you would have to find a county that advocated for freedom. And then sometimes you may arrive at a county where there may be one single institution or one single family in that county who will be willing to assist you. So the challenges was always the challenge of risk and the challenge of striving to find who you could actually trust in order to support your freedom as a human being.
In Fort Erie, for The Source, I'm Anthony Luongo.